Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, July 14th. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's already the mid-80s. It's going to be another beautiful day. I hear the birds are making a stink in the backyard, so there must be a cat around. Well, this has been a very eventful week. And suffice it to say, there is evil all around us. But evil is not welcome in my garden. So get thee behind me, Satan. And let's take a walk. You can see my crepe myrtle, after having been trimmed, has straightened up nicely. I don't have my fountains on because we had a lot of rains this week, showers in the afternoons, and it shorted out my system somewhere. So somewhere there's a little water ingress, so I have to go through and check out my extension cords. But everything here, oh, there's a hummingbird. A little red-throated one is on the shy side. He's on the other side of the bird feeder. Oh, there he just went. That's the first one I've seen this year, although I know he's been drinking from that fountain. My little bananas are doing well over there, as is the angel's trumpet. It has thickened out nicely after having defoliated because of the wet and forget episode. I don't see any flowers on my plumerias yet, but plenty of green leaves, so we shall see. Papyrus is as high as my umbrella, and my bat-faced pufia is still blooming. It has wilted a couple of times in the high heat in the afternoons, so I do have to keep it watered. I don't think these caladiums have definitely earned their name for torchy, T-O-R-C-H-I-E. They're supposed to be orange. I guess possibly that one has faded a little and it's a little orangey colored. But it is what it is. These caladiums are coming up nicely through the pitcher plant and the penthes. My scented geranium, rose-scented geranium, is doing fine here. It likes it. I did cut it back once, and I think I'm going to take some more cuttings of the tips of that to push it out a little more. The cutting I took did pretty well until I did a dumb thing, which I won't do again. But I brought it in my front porch, and I was watering with fertilizer. I add Miracle Grow to my water, to my inside plants, and I put it on the new cutting. And that was a mistake, because it absolutely fried the cutting. It turned brown. So I've still got it. It might recover. Here you can see we had an issue yesterday. It was finally resolved. But the top of my, what is this called? Can't think of it's coming to me, Iachroma, was eaten away. And I kept seeing little globules of dirt all over the water. I did empty the water out because the Iachroma is quite poisonous. Come to find out yesterday, when I put my reading glasses on, there was a big caterpillar, about 4 inches long, dark green, and I believe it had a horn or two on it. So my immediate impulse was to go, and the sensitive amongst you may want to cover your ears, but I turned one caterpillar into 3 caterpillars, and my plant hopefully will recover. I'm going to cut it back, but iachromas are quite poisonous, so I didn't want to touch the guts of that thing. And it was quite big, actually. Here everything is leafing out nicely. This is I do need to repot it, refresh it a little bit. I may wait till the fall now that it's greened out. But that is my golden chalice vine. It really is a vine, but I keep it sort of as a bonsai in that pot, so it doesn't really grow huge. And I've got flowers on my hosta. I have minimal slug damage, although you still get some slug damage. That's the reason I don't plant them in the ground, because slugs will absolutely eat them up here in Zone 9A. However, that has lived in that pot now for over 5 years, and it's doing well. Back in here, oh, I should point out, back up here, let me back up a little. Well, I gotta get you so the sun isn't shining at you. The banana trees are just absolutely in their prime right now. They're absolutely loving this hot weather and growing hand over fist. I may actually get some bananas on them this year, but if they grow really well. But typically it takes a couple of years with no frost to get bananas. Here's a little bud on my toad lily, as there's one on this side too. The big development here is because of the heat. Oh, something's been in my little fountain yesterday, knocking the shells in there. There is the fruit, the ripened fruit. Actually, there's the overripe fruit. You can probably see the fruit flies flying around it, of my pindo palm. With the heat that we've had, it has really ripened the fruits quickly. In fact, most of them have fallen off of this stem right here. And there's still more to follow yet. But this is the ripe color of the fruit. It's an orangey color, and it's got a huge pit in the middle. If you squish it, it makes a mess. But it has a thin film of pulp on it. Let me go rinse my hand now that I've got it all sticky. That didn't quite go as I planned it. But trust me, there's a big pit in there, and there's only about an 1/8 inch of flesh on the outside of it. So it smells very citrusy back here now. As it ripens, it brings out the citrusy flavor of it, like sort of more like an orange than a lemon, but it still has that butterscotchy odor as well. Back in here, all is well. I do see way back in the corner is still one more errant crepe myrtle that I need to cut out. The coleus really, really love this spot. I haven't taken the other coleus out yet of the back, my propagation chamber. And back in here, you really can't see it, but it is back there. I want to make sure I don't step on any of my ground palms coming up. There is new growth back in there on my lady palm. So it did make it through the winter. It's just going to take it a while to be seen. Yeah, I do have My ground palms are coming up. They're just a little slow. I was told them as pleated palm, but I've since learned that they're just called a ground palm. They're interesting. If I didn't have aspidistras, they would stand out more because basically they look like an aspidistra, except they are pronouncedly pleated. That's not easy to say. Aspidistras have a little ripple, but these are actually kind of pleated by a vein that runs, many veins that run up the leaf. Unfortunately, frost knocks it back, so it doesn't survive our winters, but it comes back every year. The top of this Canary Island date palm is looking better. I would say this one frond is about 2/3 of its normal length, so that's a good sign. I do see some new growth coming out of the center. It was very heavily fertilized last week or the week before, week before. In fact, you can still see little remnants of the fertilizer around here on the ground. The rain will slowly work it in. The crepe myrtles are in bloom. On this side is the pink crepe myrtle. And David is looking lush in his covering of Fatsia japonica. I did limb up some of this palm here, the Serenoan repens. It is really taking over this backyard. These caladiums have done really well here. They continue to thicken up. I did notice here I've got kumquats coming already. And of course the satsumas. On the sunny side of the satsuma tree you can also see. Still getting strawberries, but they're small and the birds are getting them more than I am. Back in here, I did cut back the white angel's trumpet. It's got a bunch of pods that are going to turn into flowers. So it really loves this spot. I see I have some buds on my autumn carnation azaleas back here. Oh, a ground ginger, butterfly ginger. It is a beautiful, got to make sure you get a good shot of it. I wish you could smell the fragrance of it. It is extremely fragrant. It is a unique smell. Let me get another whiff. It's more akin to the gardenia smell than anything else, but it is somewhat unique. Very sweet, and you can smell it from afar. There's some more of the sporadic blossoms of the azalea. My black-eyed Susans. My lantanas this year, all of them, planted in every which location that I've got back here, have not done exceedingly well. They have greened up nicely, but I've had very few flowers. That includes the pots and the various places I have around in the ground. I don't know why. It apparently is not the year of the lantana. Back in here, these caladiums are holding their own, but they are being swallowed up by the spiderwort, or wandering dude. This second batch of leaves has finally opened up on this cycad. All of those leaves are new to this year, because if you go back into the spring, you'll see that it was cut back to the stalk. Boxwoods are looking good in the pots. I also did take one of the large pink angel's trumpet down. It's still growing. I don't see any signs of flower pods yet, but they will come. My pecan, I did stake it. It's doing fine. It's not growing as much this year as it did last year, but the year's not over yet. And my shrimp plant is doing okay. I don't think it's sunny enough for it, but there's a fine line between being a healthy green plant in the shade and being a desiccated, burned one in the sun in zones 9A. I haven't quite found the right spot for it, but it's going to live there. I'll settle for it being green. And my blueberry bushes are doing fine. They're all growing. I was anticipating those being small bushes according to the tags when I bought them that said I think 3 or 4 feet was the max. They lied. But on the flip side, they did sell me the blueberries, so from their point of view, it was a success. Loquat trees are really looking fantastic here. Let's see, I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. 2 of them died. I planted them all at the same time. There used to be a hedge of loquats here out at the street, or between me and the street, I should say. The lily in the backyard, crinum, is blooming. This one was, again, one of those annoying things. However, it is beautiful, and I will enjoy it for the beauty that it has. However, I was sold it as a red crinum, actually from a sale at the local botanical gardens. Of course, that was now probably 20 years ago, and it took many years for it to bloom. So it is a beautiful white crinum. Back in here, haven't really done too much this last week. I'm getting a flush of leaves on my bougainvillea. No new flowers. Those toad lilies haven't set buds yet, but they were just opened up from the camellia. I wish I had taken cuttings, more cuttings, of this hydrangea. Y'all may recall earlier this year that hydrangea on that end had flopped, and I took some of the cuttings, and rather than throwing them out, I dried them. I only took 2 because I only cut 2 off, and they dried quite nicely and kept their color. So that was surprising. I knew they would dry. I was expecting them to turn brown. Well, here is an instance. Liza has come back, and she's friendly enough that she's actually staying here. The puzzling thing, however, is that, what would you call it, the lantern that's laying next to her, because someone carried that lantern about 6 feet from where it was, or played with it to get it where it is. So we had visitors last night. They didn't actually swim in this water, because this water was replaced yesterday, but apparently they washed their meals in it. By the way, the Kimberly fern is thickening out nicely there, considering I just got it from cuttings out at the front yard. Oh, there goes Liza. Let me go ahead and pick this guy up. Oh, no, that's just I thought it was broken. Here's where it lives. How it got there, I don't know. I have electronic candles in that. The problem, I have a lot of lighting out here in the backyard. Most of it's solar, but not all of my backyard gets light. And so, or gets sunlight, direct sunlight. So I do have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I have 5 lanterns that are battery operated. So they give me light where the others do not. Oh, I see something was here and got at the water dish that I keep out for Gato. In fact, something was very busy digging around there. My guess is something must have gotten in there and knocked it over. And Gato tends to dig around for water. But there's plenty of other water that he can get to in the backyard. I have not seen him for 3 weeks now, but his water does disappear. Of course, something else could be drinking it. Ooh, the little spider. I don't know if you can see it right there. He has moved. He used to be in between here, but he's found a new spot, and that's a good spot because at least it's not anywhere where I'm going to walk. I don't know what kind of spider it is with 2 orange spots on its abdomen, but it's catching bugs, so it is a friend. I didn't get out to put up my little trellis yet over here, although we did cut the wood for it. I had to rip down a 2x4, hadn't gotten my table saw out in a few years, and it was able to cut it after it stopped a few times. Seized up on me, but it has safety features that prevent it from being damaged. So the wood has been cut, it just hasn't been put up yet. Out here, everything is looking good. This cordyline, or double cordyline, I swear has grown a little since it's been planted. It must like that spot. I don't water a lot of this because most of it's established, but I will put some water on the cordyline and the toad lily. I don't see any blossoms on that or buds on that yet. There you can see the ivy is a little the worse for wear here because I had to get in there to trim both the ivy as well as the this bush, camellia. And here you can see my plan. Camellia is about midway to the window, and this one has about another foot to go yet, the Nandina. But that of course was my plan. I gave it about 1.5 feet to grow. Again, this Nandina was cut down now 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. This one was cut 2 weeks ago. So they come back. If you cut them at the right time of the year, they come back quite quickly. But again, they'll probably reach this year a finished height of about 1.5 feet from where I cut them. So my prediction is this one will be as high as that one when it thickens out a little more. Same with this Nandina over there. Oh, this is the first time we see my double datura blooming. It is purple, and I see a seed pod down there. That was moved twice before it made its spot to there, and it seems to like that little sunny spot. It gets minimal water there, so it's okay. Sorry if the picture is jiggling a little. I had to brush some mosquitoes off of my hand. Even though I've got mosquito repellent, apparently it's not enough for some of these little mosquitoes. My tree fern still doing well, despite the fact that it got a little fried. It never got any worse, so it's not continuing to brown, but it apparently got just the very tips of that when it unfolded. Got a little too hot for it. Back here, or up here I should say, One thing to mention, I will point out this crepe myrtle. This is an old crepe myrtle. Longer than I've had the house. It's been in this spot, so it's probably about 40 years old. It is starting to defoliate, or exfoliate, I should say. It loses bits of bark. The bark on crepe myrtles doesn't expand, so as the tree grows, it basically breaks its old bark. And the new bark will be a nice, clean, pinky cinnamon color. I will actually peel that off when it gets a little worse for wear. Which, by the way, if you're into camping or starting fires, those are extremely good things to use as fire starters. The dried bark. Of course, I would let it dry for a while. I don't think it would be, with the rains we're getting every day, I don't think it would light just yet. I've been fortunate. I've been not giving up on these beans. I bought more seeds. They're string beans, and I just keep planting them as the birds keep eating them. And it looks like they might be getting sick of green beans because they're starting to thicken up. My potato vines are starting to take over the top of the fence, which was the plan. And let's take a closer look at the potager. This is my stevia plant. I need to cut it back. My blackberries back there. There's one there and one there. Eventually I want them to take over the fence, because blackberries will send up large runners, as you can see. It's already going through the fence. These are thornless, so it makes them a little more pleasant to deal with. My tomato from last week has not died. The other one from the week before has shot up. These were approximately the same height, but it shot up this much in 1 week. So it likes it here. Unfortunately, whatever it was that took out half of my butterfly bush is apparently attacking the other half of it, because I'm still treating it the same and it appears to be dying. So an opportunity to plant something else may eventually appear. Let's see what else is back in here. I did get some back in here, some pineapple sage. And of course, this is bergamot bee balm. And believe it or not, I have found the way to control dandelions is to put them in your potager where you want them to grow, and they won't. That will eventually, in the spring, take over more than it is now. How's the mint doing back here? The mint is spreading. It's not making a clump, it's just sort of sending out runners all over, and I think I'll accept that, as long as I can plant between the mint. It is invasive but spindly. And I've got one pitiful okra. Nope, two pitiful okras. It's a little too much competition on this side. The okra is a little larger over here. And that may be what I put in the spot when I take out this butterfly bush. Yeah, this has got little pods on it already. I may put a clump of okra there because that's tall-ish and it will balance it out, at least for this year. And I'll figure out what's going to go there in the long run. My cucumbers are starting to branch, or run, I should say. Lots of basil. I need to make some pesto. I made some pesto noodles this week, and so I have an opening in the jar. I may go ahead and just whip me some more up to use that pesto, or the basil. Back in here, I have not yet used my Mexican tarragon. It's got a licorice hint to it. I do like marjoram, but it ain't easy to get at. I have bought marjoram in the past, and it's been a tall bush, sort of like this lemon balm. However, that one did not turn out to be the bush type, but rather the rambling type, so it's a short plant. Other than that, bananas are looking good over here. They are huge and a very thick clump. It's very dark under there, but apparently the ginger lilies really like that spot. Ferns definitely do, they're spreading. Gardenias have really thickened out. The fertilizer is kicking in that I had put in earlier this year. This fig tree is already 6 foot tall, because this is the 6 foot mark, so it's above that. And my echinops, or coneflower, is doing well. That's one that had just reseeded itself. I had brought that down from my garden in New York as seeds. Here's my ponytail palm. And over in here, everything looks pretty much the same. I've got some flowers blooming in the azaleas. I've got to keep talking. Somebody has got a radio out at the street, and if I have music in my video, it might trigger their copyright notices. So I have to make sure that it's unrecognizable. Never realized that before till I started doing these videos. Flowers on that really look pretty. Again, that's the double azalea, autumn carnation. My Mexican petunias are not blooming. However, they've got some buds. I did call them a weed. Let me show you why I call them a weed here in this zone. Originally, I planted them about where the basil is there. And somehow, seeds got here, there, and there. So they're all perfectly good Mexican Mexican petunias, but they just came up by themselves. There's actually one over there as well. Fortunately, they're easy to spot in the purple spiderwort. So I could dig them out and save them, or just kill them. We'll see what happens. Oh, I didn't show you in the backyard, and we're too far away now to go back and take a look, but I did save one of the cuttings that I took of the pink angel's trumpet, but I thought I would try something different since I really didn't need another one. I cut off such a nice branch that I went ahead and dipped it in some rooting hormone and poked a hole in the ground and just stuck it in the ground next to the small white angel's trumpet that I had rooted earlier this year. So next week I'll show it to you, if it's still there. My cassia, you can see, has thickened up nicely. It went from just 2 stalks to many. That's not a cassia, that's a weed. I will get that later. But it is bushy enough now that I'm just going to let it go. I think I will come here later today, because I always forget about it if I don't do it right as I'm thinking about it, and thin out some of these limelight hydrangeas. I had them in my garden up north, and I know for a fact that they dry exceedingly easily, and they look great when they dry. So I'll take a half a dozen or so flower cuttings. I just stick them here in my garage, hang them from a shelf, and in the heat of the day, especially with this 100-degree weather that we've been getting, really by next week they'll be dried to a crisp and ready for arrangement. Here you can see a close-up of the blooms of this little crepe myrtle. This crepe myrtle has purple leaves, and it's supposed to be smaller than the other crepe myrtle that I've got. And here you can see the cluster of bananas. I keep thinning it out from the street side, from the sidewalk side. But I see 1, 2, 3, 4 tips growing on it. 2 of those were sprouts off of the other bananas that I took last year. But there you have it for the week. I hope you all get a chance to get out in your gardens and enjoy the outside. Here, you need a lot of mosquito repellent, but it is beautiful outside, and it's always restful in the garden. Let the worries of the world stay in the world. And until next week, have a good day.